Evening. Welcome to Lebanon City Council. It's August 25th, 2026. Mr. Burke, please call the roll.
Mayor Messer.
Here.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Here.
Mr. Sellers.
Here.
Mrs. Harper.
Here.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Here.
Mrs. Eggers.
Here.
Mr. Cope.
Here.
Please join me for the invocation and the pledge.
Would you please bow your head for a moment? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this moment that we can come together. Lord, we ask for your wisdom and guidance as a city council, that we do things that are in the betterment of the community. From the moment in Genesis when human government was first designed, we thank you for that. It's in your son's name I pray, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If council would look at work session meeting minutes August 5th, 2026. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Cope.
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers.
Yes.
Mrs. Harper.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Abstain.
Consideration of council meeting minutes July 14th. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So move.
Second.
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Cope.
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers.
Yes.
Mrs. Harper.
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux.
Yes.
Very good, thank you. So we have Lebanon School District with us, Superintendent Sievers, and then also Auditor Nolan. Are you you plan to do a presentation after him, or you just, what's your thought?
Scott asked me to be here, so I'm here.
I want to make sure to introduce you. The auditor is here for questions.
Presentation for us.
Yeah.
Can Matt give our presentation for us? We have some things here. Karen will talk about that. This is just information for you guys. In case you have questions, we just want to answer it.
So this packet, this folder has a lot of information for you. We wanted to give you the information. We've spent a lot of time trying to pull together our facts over the last year. That was one of the things that we talked about last time we were here, just providing our community with more information about the finances of the school district. So I've given you this folder. There's a lot of information. We're not going to cover all of this information, but a lot of this is also available on our website, and we have some really great resources. So I wanted to at least get it in front of you. If you have any questions as you're running through this, because this is riveting information that I'm sure you will take a look at, just let us know. Just reach out to Mr. Sievers or myself. We're happy to walk through that with you. The packet on the booklet on the left is the tax information guide. This really talks about all things property tax. So as you are all aware, taxes in general are not easy concepts, and there's a lot of information to be had. Now this was before all of the legislation changes from the state of Ohio that passed in December, so just be aware that that information is not there. But everything there should be helpful in if you ever have residents who just don't understand what are property tax, what are my property taxes paying? This is something that you can refer to. It is available on our website as a PDF download, so they can download this and take a look and really go through and teach themselves. The second, on the right side, we have a lot of different pieces of paper there for you. I'm going to talk about that first one that's called the Lebanon City School District's Financial Story. This is really where we want to start, because this leads us to where we're at today. Over the last year, really 2 years, we've continually come to council just to present to you all how are the schools doing, both academically and financially. And so this shows you a little bit of the financial picture of where we're at. If you look at that top chart on the left, top left, you'll see that our expenses are growing at a rate of about 4%, 3.79%. And with the changes that we expect coming from the state changes to property tax law, our revenue growth is slowing to 1.58%. As you can imagine, and as you can see, that really starts to change the outlook of our finances. So you'll see in 2026, the blue line was our revenue that we actually received, and then the red line were the expenses that we actually paid out. In 2026, those were very, very close. In 2027, for this school year, we project, again, very, very close. Once you start hitting 2028, you start to see the impact of our revenues flatlining, our expenses continuing to grow. This is almost all related to the changes in how property tax collections are working now. And so as you see, our revenue stays very static, but you all experience it on a daily basis. The expenses do not stay static, right? And so that red bar continues to grow, so that by the time we're out to 2031, you're seeing a very substantial annual deficit spend here. We can't sustain that, no entity can, right? And so what does that mean for us? So on the right side, you'll see our board recently passed a cash balance policy. We've tried to put some parameters in place, do some pre-planning. We've made a lot of financial plans. We talked last time we came here about a business plan of all the things, capital that we had to do. We've also been working on days cash on hand. What should we have in the bank at any given time that would make it safe for our district to maintain its operations if something catastrophic were to happen? If Mr. Nolan's systems of giving us money were to be hit by a tornado, we hope that never happens, what would happen? How many days could we operate safely and pay our folks? That is a recommended 90 days from the Government Finance Officers Association. And that is what our board has put into policy for us. So anytime our days cash on hand in the 5 or 4 years of the forecast, anytime that our cash balance shows that we're going to go less than that, we have to propose, Mr. Sievers and I have to propose to our board, here's a plan to correct that. We also have a maximum. We don't want to sit on a lot of cash. We are a public entity just like the city. We want to make sure that money is used for our residents, for our community. And so we have a maximum. If it hits that maximum, we also have to go to the board and propose, here's our plan on how we're going to use that money effectively for our schools. So you'll see that cash on hand, it starts in 2026, we ended at 99 days. Very close to that 90-day minimum. And you see it quickly goes until 2031 when we don't have enough to operate even a day, right? So we are negative 28.
I want to jump in here. The 4 property tax bills, when we're all familiar with it, if you aren't, I'd encourage you to watch the video that Karen and I did last week with Matt Nolan. We posted on our website. We talk a lot about that. It's the reason all of our tax bills went down in the second half of this year in terms of property taxes. It's the largest property tax reform probably in Ohio in 30, 40 years. It significantly impacts the school district. It's a loss of revenue of over $13 million of anticipated revenue over the next 5 years. And that begins to happen in earnest in 2028 when the state will no longer hold us harmless from that loss in property tax. So we begin to see that's where the gap begins to widen. Money that we were anticipating based on how the property tax had traditionally had grown prior to that no longer is going to happen. So we begin to see that deficit. We were projecting prior to those property tax changes, looking at new money in 2029, somewhere in that ballpark when we need new money. So it's not really necessarily something we've done as a district. It's a result of the property tax reform. We haven't asked for new money as a district since 2019. So we've prided ourselves on being really good stewards of the dollars that we have, trying to spend honestly and with integrity and responsibly. And so we've reached this point in time, and I think it's by design. I think it's the statement that's being made in Columbus is that local residents need to be making decisions on the amount of revenue that they want to put forward for police, fire, schools, all of those things. I think we're going to see school districts and municipalities all over Ohio go back to the ballot a lot more often now as a result of this, because it's just not going to grow in a regular way as it was before. So we had to make a plan to our Board of Education on, this is what we're seeing in the next couple of years. What are ways that we can address it? And so, as a district, 79 to 80% of all of our expenses are on people. We're a people-heavy business, and so, for us, we would have to be looking at how do we cut in order to make up the, in a couple of years, $8.5 billion deficit. That's a significant annual deficit when you're looking at a budget. And so, we've been spending responsibly and repurposing positions and reducing as we go. We can't simple budget $8.5 million deficit. It's going to have to look at some different revenue sources.
And that is one of the papers in your packet, is a chart of where do we get our money from, and then how do we spend that money. It's just a simple pie chart.
And an apple.
An apple pie. But that's just to give you some perspective. A lot of our costs are people. That's what we're in the business of doing. I think we probably say that every year, but it takes a lot of people to educate our kids.
So it brings us to the point, our recommendation that the Board of Education has acted on, what we're looking forward for in November, is a 1% earned income tax, coupled with some additional property tax relief. And that 1% earned income tax will be on the ballot this November. And so there's a page in there that kind of explains what that looks like. It's a 10-year levy. And the Board of Education will roll back 2.15 mils of property tax, additional property tax relief for our residents. Earned income tax is only on W-2 earned wages. It doesn't tax retirement, investments, any of those pensions and types of things. So for those residents that are on fixed income, retirement income, that earned income tax is not going to tax that income for them. They will see the property tax relief if they own a home. So for them, it's really a tax cut. For our seniors and those living on fixed income, it only taxes wages, salaries, tips, and self-employment wages. And so
it is also slightly different from a city's income tax. We do not tax businesses, so that's a big difference. The other factor is if folks work at our district, they don't have to, or they work in Lebanon, they don't pay this income tax. Unless they live here. So it's only for residents of Lebanon City School District who pays Lebanon City taxes.
Can you explain?
Yeah, we're all going to ask you the same question.
we would rather ask questions.
Yes.
Yeah, can you explain the business, excluding businesses? What's the thought there?
We don't have the choice. We either are doing traditional earned income tax, which would still not tax businesses. I'm looking to the auditor over my shoulder. For those of you not in the room, our taxes are on income, and so traditional would tax all income, pension, retirement, all of those things. It still would not tax business income. That's not the option that we have as a school district to do.
State law has created that.
Just like you guys have limited forms of tax that you can levy as a council, we are limited to property tax and income tax. And that income tax is different slightly than what it is for the city.
What about, so for example, when we did our fire levy, one of the things that we wanted to do was help put the burden a little bit off of our, just the people that are residents here and a little bit onto people who work here because they utilize the services as well. So is there a stipulation or was there a reason in excluding people who work in the city of Lebanon and don't live in the city of Lebanon?
It's also, again, the state law, the difference for school districts and municipalities.
Okay, so you're only allowed to tax individuals who live in the district,
Correct.
not those who simply work here?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's income tax no matter where they work, correct?
Correct. So if they work in Mason but they live in Lebanon, they're going to have to pay that income still.
Okay. There is a couple different, because I went to the first meeting and then heard this and then I've read other, I trust what I heard, not what I read. So, but there is we're taxing the city of Lebanon or the Lebanon School District. So for clarity, anyone that is in Lebanon School District, so all the township
85 square miles of school district, not just the city of Lebanon.
There's always we live out in the township, so we don't have to pay taxes. Or the same thing that people in the city, they will pay this.
Yes.
Yes, it's the entire school district, not just the city of Lebanon.
Another question for you. So I know we had a meeting, last year, or maybe it was the year before, I can't, there's so many things that happen with this, but regarding, we know that people really want, people are very unhappy about property taxes and really want to kind of replace those methods, and so, all of, public entities are trying to figure out how to manage all of this and kind of, balance, this system and that system and whatnot. And when you're diversifying everything, can you explain, like, the thought process and the reason behind doing a somewhat of a reduced property tax on this as well versus something like saying, okay, we're not going to use the property tax method anymore, we're only going to use this method?
That would be a significant income tax that we would have to levy to make up for all the property tax that we collect.
Okay.
I don't.
They also have very different mechanisms. So property tax is very stable. Your property values don't, other than increasing, they're very stable. They don't depend on economic, like if a housing market crashes, the property is still very valuable, right? Income taxes are very different in that respect. If you have an economic crisis, folks lose jobs, they lose income, they reduce income, and that shifts very dramatically. Now, fortunately, we haven't seen that around here for a while, right? But that is from a financial perspective, income tax is a little scarier because it's less predictable. Property tax is very static, very predictable. I can forecast that very easy. I can't do that as well with income tax. So having both of those mechanisms from a perspective of financial, when we need to go issue debt, is really good for us. It gives us a great debt rating, having that diversification.
Thank you.
I have a question. What's your per pupil spend right now?
That's
Is it
a
in
great
here?
question. I don't know, is it in this packet?
I don't think so. So we have a graphic on our website that has that. We have both Lebanon's and the state average. We are less than the state average, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's $15,418 annually that we are spending per pupil. And right now in Warren County, that's 6 out of the 10 schools that serve students living in Warren County, the 6th lowest. It's about $2,000 less than the state average, which is over $17,000 now. And so I think Scott asked me a question last week, maybe shared this information with the council. I can't remember what I sent him in an email, but when we looked at where our revenue was coming from, it's in this information also pretty clearly. But last year we received $5,414 from the state per pupil. So of that $15,000 spend, $5,000 is coming from the state. Leaving us with, we've got to come up with $10,000 locally. We do get some money from the federal government, about $800 annually per pupil. That's all based off of socioeconomics. They have different entitlement funds, economic disadvantage, special education, things like that. So we're looking locally to have to make up, roughly $9,000, $10,000 of local spend. And that burden has been shifted back to the locals in the last 10 to 15 years in the state of Ohio. It used to be a much higher percentage at the state level, and that shift has gone back more to the locals to fund through some policy decisions at the State House, and which then equates to all of us locally feeling like our taxes are going up because there's an increased burden, at the local level with less being done at the state.
Also, one of your questions was, why did we get to the decision we got to? So we put together several different scenarios, both property tax and income tax, and proposed those to our Board of Education as options. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we looked at, what would it take to generate enough money that we wouldn't have to come back in like 3 years and ask again for more. Because we've heard over time, levy fatigue. I mean, if you look at some of the information we have on our website, like we were asking for a levy every year from 2014 to 2022, it felt like. Some of those were renewals, some of them were new monies. And so the levy fatigue portion of it, planning out, a period of time. And so we looked at multiple levels of income tax. We can only do them in 0.25% increments, so 25, 50, 75, or 1. And so looking at 7.75% income tax would have generated enough for 3 to 5 years. We would have to come back again, just based off of how things were growing. We also looked at what's the equivalent property tax. Again, we have two options, income or property. To generate this much money in property tax was a 7.81 mil property tax levy. We're hearing we're overwhelmed with property taxes. We can't ask for a 7.81 mil at the same time we're hearing from our residents that we have too much property tax. And so the 1% coupled with the reduction gets us closer to what that 0.75% was. Our Board of Education specifically chose the earned income tax instead of the traditional income tax because they wanted to provide relief for our senior citizens and those living with fixed income. And so not taxing the retirement, the pensions, the investment, it was really important for them from the standpoint of it gave a real tax break for our senior citizens in our community, because they're going to see a decrease in their property taxes without the increase of the income. So that's why the decision was made.
So, I got a couple questions here. What's the max? Is like 1% the max, or what can you legally
You
go
can
up?
ask for more.
Yeah.
There is no limit to it, I don't believe, in terms of what you're able to ask for. I mean, obviously, there's a threshold there where it's no longer appealing.
And from a city perspective, a lot of times cities will have a reciprocity agreement where if you go to another city, you don't have to pay both in full. School districts do not have that same capacity. And so we don't have an agreement with the city where if you pay the city, then you don't pay all of the district. We don't have that option. So reciprocity is not something we can offer.
Okay, and then I'm inferring here. So I know with levies, like more people move in and the levy amount doesn't increase, which I just never quite understood that, but it gets just kind of spread out. So it's a little bit less for all the property owners. So this right here is capturing that additional people, we've got the growth issue.
The language we're using is it's scalable revenue for the district.
Yeah, okay.
And so as more people move to the community, House Bill 920, I'm not going to get into the weeds of property tax law in Ohio, but that's what we're talking about in terms of property tax not growing with new homes and people moving in the same way. But income tax is going to grow. And we've talked about this a lot as a district, and we look at some of our things in terms of trends. Lebanon is a community that people move here, they stay here. My in-laws live in a community. Houses go up for sale beginning in May because their kids have graduated high school and it's time for them to move out because they don't want to pay the taxes anymore in that community. Lebanon is the type of place that people come and they stay. And so I think that contributes a little bit to the ebb and flow of enrollment. But the types of homes that are being built in the neighborhoods that people coming in, they're not retirement homes. They're likely going to bring kids with them. They're going to bring new revenue in terms of income and property tax when those houses get built. So we believe this is more sustainable for us in terms of being scalable in terms of growth as people move into the community.
So that'll make you pro-development.
What's that?
That would
Yeah,
make you
he's gonna be,
I mean, there's a point, Mr. Morris. There's a point, right? We're not pro-annexing. We're not pro. No, I think it's important for us to
No, I have.
as a school district, we have to plan for the development. And one of the things that we're concerned about is A, space. B is how do we operate, right? And with flatline revenue, like what we're projecting right now, we get more kids. It's definitely not sustainable.
I'm working with mental health. We ran against replacements and renewals. We operate off. We could never pass a replacement. We could get our renewals passed because it was what Mr. Cope was saying, that 1% was spread out over more and more. So it actually was 0.06%. So we could never get a replacement passed. So I'm familiar with that. This does make sense where as more people move in, it'll continue to go up. So people will help you. It'll run into a space issue down the road.
Correct.
Which you've already, you didn't address that on this, but the question I have is, we get hit as a council, as the city, where all this is our problem. It's our fault for allowing developments. It's our fault for growing, encouraging growth in the city and doing that. Where it sounds more like the taxation plan that started at the county level by lowering taxes was a direct hit on the schools. That was a painful hit for you guys as our property values or our property tax rates went down. You said it affected you by $12, $13 million.
It's really a state law change. There were 4 state laws that changed that had to do with capping the growth of revenue at the rate of inflation. So you go back and look at some of those laws that were passed at the State House in December before they went on recess. And that's really what we're looking at there in terms of the state laws will cap growth of property tax.
So the state has got a heavy hand in this as far as the reason why the schools are having the problems that they're having right now. It's not city councils approving.
No, this has nothing to do with the growth of housing in Lebanon. It has everything to do with state funding and
that odd where it costs $15,000 to educate. If we're $15,000, then some of these, Princeton used to be thousands more than we were. They must be in the 20s.
the state average is over 17,000.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, if we're at 15 and we're only getting 10, it sounds like it's a state issue to parlay that out.
I think it's a whole other discussion at some point in time, but I do think that this stems from really what the state believes is the responsibility to pay for it, who the state believes is responsible to pay for education, right? And I think as they look back, and it's all services, right? They've cut local government funds, things that are very familiar to you as a council, right? They've cut a lot of those state funds for that. So it, for us, is trying to navigate this new reality. We are not the only school district in this situation. You can turn on the news tonight and you're going to hear about other school districts in the Cincinnati area asking for property tax or income tax this November. It's not unique to us. We are working to make sure that we are providing high quality education. We still think very responsibly and efficiently in terms of our per pupil expense being where it's at. We're going to be 4.5 stars again this year as a school district in terms of performance on the report card. So we think we're offering a good education and still being good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. This is one of those options for us where it's looking at how do we generate the revenue necessary to continue to operate at the level that we are. If we don't have that revenue, we have to look at significant cuts which will impact programming and services and offerings that we can have as a school district. So,
and I think I asked you this a couple of weeks ago, and I'll ask now. It's been to what's your feed? What are you getting in the community? What kind of feedback are you getting?
the number one question we've had is basically your guys' first question about why aren't you taxing businesses? A shift has happened where farmers and residents are paying a larger share of the property tax burden in the state of Ohio than what it was. And so that's been our number one question. We've had to answer that question a lot, which is why we were ready for that this evening. The other thing is just looking at, we want to be clear, this is not an apples to apples, right? We are not cutting 2.18 mils of property tax and that's going to equal 1%. We want to be clear about that. And I think, when people begin to do the numbers, they're like, this doesn't make any sense, this isn't even for us. We have a deficit problem. We're not trying to diversify just to remain status quo. We're trying to address a deficit while also, so increasing revenue while also trying to be good stewards and provide some property tax relief. So, those are the kind of the feedback we've had so far. A lot of our senior citizens have said this makes a whole lot of sense. So I think it's just, the questions we have are more personal. What does this look like for me? What's the bottom line for me and how does it work? And so I think, we would welcome any conversations you guys have, questions you have. We gave you a ton of information. And we know, based on our conversations with some of you in the past, based on my conversation with Mr. Brunca, that there are some questions on the council. Feel free to email us directly. We will answer them. We will be willing to meet. I just want to make sure you know that we want to answer questions because we know you get questions sometimes. We'd like to be the ones that speak on behalf of us. So help us, let us know so we can help you.
Is this a sunset? Like, is there you said it's about 10 years?
It's a 10-year levy is the request. So we would have to renew it in 10 years.
That's just for the levy. The income tax is in perpetuity.
No, the income tax levy would be for 10 years.
Oh.
So it would need to be renewed in 10 years.
Okay.
Another specific, it could have been continuing permanent levy. Our board, really wanted to look at a time frame and give the voters an opportunity, and let's look at how this is going in 10 years. and decide whether we want to continue, doing things this way or not.
Another question, but it's, might be for Matt. And I know you can't speak on behalf of the commissioners and a decision that they might make, but, with Lebanon not being the only school in the district that's going through this, nor that will go through this, is there, I think we've talked in the past about the possibility, but I wanted to see with the current landscape, would a sales tax be possible at the county level to help all the schools? Let's say this doesn't pass and all the other schools in the county it doesn't pass, like what is the possibility of that working?
We do not have the ability to
Right.
levy a sales tax.
Yeah.
So it would have to happen I don't want to begin to speak for them, so. I guess we're really.
Neither was Matt.
I know you don't want to speak for it, but
I'm not speaking for them either.
is that mechanism still, does that mechanism still have a possibility in the future? Not speaking for them for actually doing it, but is that still something that could work?
I will say this, I had one conversation with a county commissioner when we were looking at things, we were talking about, a lot of this property tax reform was originally even worse than what it ended up being, and asked, because we had originally worked on some language in a previous district that I had around sales tax. It's up to them. They have some statutory limits on what they can levy in terms of sales tax, and I think the concern, I would say, from that conversation that I gathered is that's the only other option they have besides property tax. Mm-hmm. We're all limited in how we can levy taxes. You guys have certain ones you can levy, we have certain ones we can levy. That's the only other option the county commissioners have besides property taxes, is my understanding. So giving percentages of that away, limits their ability to adjust to reform and decreases in the future. So that's the feedback I received from that conversation, was I think that's highly unlikely because it's the only other option they have as well.
And this is a question that, and some of these I'm asking you not necessarily on my behalf, but because I'm a parent, I have kids in the school, I know what kind of questions people ask me or are asking. I think, when we talked about our fire levy, one of the things is, okay, what happens if this doesn't pass? So, do you kind of have something that you're sharing? Because I think it's helpful for people to understand, okay, here's what would happen, not as a threat, but as okay, here's what we've been able to maintain to this point, and if this does not pass, and here's what our deficit looks like, here's some examples of the things that could happen.
Yeah, so we are going in 2026 on purpose because knowing how things are collected in the state of Ohio, we've been told, we believe that it will take up to 18 months for us to reach full collection of income taxes because of how it's just different, right, in terms of that. And so there will be a phase-in period. We're not going to generate all of that revenue for the first 18 months. We'll get it back, I don't know how the magic works behind the scenes, but that's what we've been told, right? The big decrease for us happens in terms of revenue and coming from property taxes in 2028, where it's when we have reappraisal here. The state held us harmless for the first 2 years of the property tax reform, so we received a payment last week from the state of Ohio. All of our taxes went down, right? The amount of our taxes went down. The state for the first year held us harmless in that tax decrease because we were in the middle of a reappraisal cycle. That will happen for 1 more year. And in 2028 is when that payment and that held harmless goes away. So we're looking at strategically going now with planning for the 18-month ramp up when we believe then when we will start to see the decrease in that revenue. So we are not looking at having to make significant changes or cuts next year if this doesn't pass. That would be looking to the 2028-2029 school year. And we can't put a list together and talk about that legally under Ohio law unless the board's acted on that plan. And so are there places where we could look and say, we might have to lose a program, right? We might have to, I will say this, and we've talked a lot about this when we've had the questions. We have worked to reduce staffing where appropriately based off of class sizes since Karen and I got here. 2 years ago, we reduced our spending on staffing by over $600,000 through retirements and resignations. We repurposed some things. We did some things over $600,000 of savings because of how we did some things. We've responded to class size changes appropriately. And I think the short answer, class size would have to get pretty large. Programs would have to be looked at in terms of, the student enrollment, is it worth offering, even for a small number of people? But we're looking at that as a 2028 issue, which is really where we see the chart begin to widen. So,
But the levy is a separate one, so the levy reduction could pass and the income could fail.
so they're not voting on the levy reduction. You're only voting on the income tax approval. The board passed, I think kind of like what you guys did with the fire levy, you passed a resolution saying if the levy passes, we will reduce property taxes. And so the board already passed a letter of intent to reduce property taxes and notify the county like that's their plan. I also know the guy sitting in the back of the room over here said, somebody asked what's the protection? Matt was in on the conversation, and Matt's going to make sure that we reduce the property taxes if the levy passes, because that's, we can't go back on that type of agreement. So,
What's your current student per teacher ratio?
see if my eyes work here, but I printed that off. Student teacher ratio, that, Mr. Messer, that might be a question I don't have the real answer for. I can let you know.
Okay.
That is not on this chart. There's a lot of really good information. CUPP, the CUP report. It's a CUP report. You can research that online. It gives you a lot of information. It allows you to compare us to other schools. Some of the questions you guys have, I think you can find on there. I've shared it with Scott also. I don't have that answer. I can get it for you though.
On your website, does it show what you expect in the student population going forward in these years?
It does. We do have a enrollment study that is out available on the website. That was done as we looked at developments and things like that. It really kind of depends upon the pace at which housing is built in the community. We have seen, a decrease in enrollment slightly over the last, I'm trying to get to that page that I printed off here, over the last few years. Our high water mark was back right before COVID, 5,400 students. We're now down around 5,200 students. And so there's a sheet in here, and this has gone on long enough, I know, but I would call your attention to this sheet about attendance and enrollment and look at it and then email us if you have questions. The state characterizes and categorizes enrollment differently depending upon certain things. And we had about, I don't know what it says in there, 5,100 students. That's if everybody came every single day and was there for every single period. We have to educate that number of kids that are enrolled in our school district right now. The ADM, which is what the state puts out for enrollment, is called average daily membership. And that takes into account that people don't come to school every day. And so attendance counts against us when it comes to funding. So if kids are chronically absent, we get less funding because they're counting the number of days that they're actually in school as a part of their enrollment. So when you look at some of those things, you think, man, we used to have 5,400 students, and now the state says you only have, 4,500 students. Well, it's a different number. Average daily membership is accounting for how many kids are there for a full day. And
has that
always
recently changed how they've counted that?
Within the last 5 to 10 years.
They used to have that point in time they counted
There was a
kids.
1 week in October. You all knew that the school told you to come to school whether you were sick or not, right?
That's when we.
That's when you had to throw all kinds of parties in October to make sure everybody came to school that 1 week, because that's how funding was established. It's no longer that way. It's now a rolling enrollment for the whole year, and it's so we've had some questions about enrollment, and I think the numbers are misleading at times because of that, because it's a different number depending on where you're looking. So again, we've taken up enough of your time. Is there any other questions before we go?
I have one more question. I've only got one, dang it.
Okay, got it.
So this might be more complicated.
Mine's simple.
So this is the first time I've seen this expense number of 3.9% or 3.79%. It seems to be tracking above the rate of inflation. Why do you think that is?
So I would again point you to our website. Well, actually, this guide in particular has a chart on inflation.
Yeah.
And depending on the year, we might be significantly lower, or significantly higher. So it's really, every year is a little bit different. A lot of that depends on one of our biggest expenses, two of our biggest expenses. Benefits, which you all are experiencing yourselves. Everything's skyrocketing, especially drugs. And then the need for services. So our special education population, the services, those costs are fluctuating wildly dependent upon our enrollment and the kids actually getting educated in our district.
Yeah, we've seen about 17% of our student population right now is a student identified with a disability being served on an IEP. That percentage is up significantly in the last 10 years. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a population that we have that is actually growing for us. Part of me as the former math teacher says it's a division problem. When you have fewer students on the bottom that you're dividing out of as in terms of a total, your percentage looks higher. We also have a gross increase in the number of students identified with a disability. Some of those disability categories are extremely, expensive to serve. We meet those needs, and we need to meet those needs for students, but it's not unheard of for us to have to spend $75,000 to $100,000 to send a kid to a specially designed program that meets their needs, and that impacts the per pupil average. That impacts a lot of those numbers, and so those services have grown tremendously in the last 5 years in terms of their cost. That's gone up significantly. The other thing that's gone up is we've seen a $1.5 million increase in the last 3 years in our healthcare benefits increase. It's now like 11% of our budget is spent on healthcare. We're working to get that down with our employees actually right now even, but that's those are expenses that are growing higher than wages. Also, we drive like 1 million miles a year in a school bus. What it costs to fill up your car or your diesel truck right now, they're all running on diesel fuel. And so those expenses outside of our control, right, continue to increase sometimes. So
I have a real simple question. What's considered a senior? When you say seniors, is it someone on Social Security, 71?
What I'm saying in terms of the seniors is those that are no longer working and receiving a retirement or a pension or Social Security. Right? They're fully dependent upon some sort of, if they're still working, they're still going to pay because they're earning a W-2.
I actually, that was a question I had. I said, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's really about wage earning. It has nothing to do with age. It's really about wage earning. It has nothing to do with age, but that's one of those things. Are you good now? Thank you for your time. We are welcome. If anybody is here and would like any of these resources, I'm going to leave a stack of them for those of you that are in the room. If you have anything that you'd like to see, they're all broken down.
You good, Matt?
You guys.
You got any questions?
Got anything special to add?
I'll be very brief. I don't have any questions. I thought it was presented very well. I love that we're having these conversations. I mean, really, the city of Lebanon started a lot of these conversations back when your creative idea to lower property taxes and
Don't start blaming us.
I will take all of the blame because most of these ideas that the County Auditors Association has come forward with, and so I love that we're having these conversations. I think that's what we're supposed to do and have healthy debate over it. So I think it's really healthy. Isaac presented so well. He really gave all the details. Property taxes are going down for the first time in my career, which has been long, but for the first time in any of your careers, because they never go down. And so property taxes are going down for a variety of reasons. The state, the county, you guys, all the above are lowering property taxes. So that is a very positive thing. People on homestead, the state doubles your homestead credit. So for the few people that actually qualify the most in need in our society, their homestead credit is doubled for next year. So that will reduce property taxes even more for those people. So there's really a lot of positives that have come out. As you all know, I'm the first to beat up on our state representatives and senators for how the legislature is doing things. So since I am the first, I have to be giving them credit because a lot of this they came up with. Scott, I thought you brought up a lot of good points. And it's an interesting debate of the state is getting out of the funding business. They are not funding local governments. They are getting out of funding schools. Is that a concept we like in Ohio? I don't know. It's a concept we like in Warren County because for 20 plus years we've been a donor county. We've been sending more money up to the state and getting less back. They're cutting our income taxes, they're cutting business taxes, they're cutting everything. So we're keeping all that money locally. So then we have to decide, do we want to spend it locally for our services? And that's what's going to come up. All these changes that have happened, I've supported, I've been a proponent of, I wrote some of them, or helped write some of them. But it does come with a big caveat of there are going to be more levies. We are going to be a more small d democratic state in that we're going to vote a lot more. And so we have to get ourselves educated. So you guys are all much better than I am. I don't do social media. I don't do any of that stuff very well. But we've got to get the word out to people. So more meetings like this. We did a podcast. I think that's a trendy thing. And so just so people can learn and vote, and they're going to make the ones that decide. Kristen, your question about sales tax. I love sales tax. I think especially Ohio's sales tax is a great way to do things. That's why the county's moving the direction they're moving to replace ours. Could we go further? Isaac and I have talked about this since he became superintendent. I think that is the future. I think that can happen. You see that in Tennessee. You see that in Florida. It's the next step for our legislature. For me, when they ask what's next, it's, all right, you've said locals, you figure it out, you do it. Okay, then you've got to give us more tools. Mm-hmm. You've got to say, Lebanon, if it's better for you, you can tax income for businesses or not. They haven't said that yet. You've got to say, county, if you want to put a sales tax on for schools, you can do that. Right now we can't. Right now we can only put a sales tax on for functions of county government, of which schools are not one. And so they would have to change the law to do that. And so that's what I'd like to see next. Again, that probably only benefits 8 counties in the state, but clearly Warren is one of them. And so as Adam and I talk, as Zach, our incoming senator, and I talk, those are the ideas that I'd love. And I'd love your guys' ideas on what's best for our city. But those are the kinds of things. More tools for us that fit our community. I'm having this exact conversation with almost every local government in the county right now. I was at Mason Schools last week. King Schools just did this. Franklin Schools on the ballot. So everybody's having this conversation. And it's different for everybody, right? Mason's got a very different demographic than Lebanon's got. And they're different everywhere. So there's no one size fits all. But the law is kind of one size fits all. So if they'll adapt those, I think that'll benefit. I can see that being the future.
How many other schools have done this up to this point, do you know?
In the state, I think there's 80-some income taxes in the state. Carlisle's the only one in the county that had it, and they've had it for 30 years.
An income tax?
An income tax, and they're also the second lowest property taxes in the whole county. That's not a coincidence. Kings just passed it this past year, okay. So they're now the second. Clinton Massey, which is partially in Warren, mostly in Clinton, they have an income tax. And so it's definitely a growing trend, kind of unique to Southwest Ohio. In my perfect little world, we have a 1% school income tax across the county just to kind of make things uniform. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that's the way people are looking. We talked about an idea, I'm going to give Isaac credit, it's his idea, of putting a sales tax on and then getting rid of the permanent improvement levies. Because every school needs that. All schools are different, but they all have those. And so just kind of finding creative ways to do those things. We're a little limited right now, but I think that when I talk to legislators, their trend is let the locals decide. And so I think we could see more laws going that way.
Matt, has it ever been figured, I'm sure it has been, but because I think a sales tax is, everybody shares equally. If we did that, you said it could be down the road, would that cover a significant portion? Do we get rid ourselves of a lot of levies and different things, or are we still gonna have to, I don't know the number that would, I see what a 1/4% does, it brings in zillions to Cincinnati and build stadiums and stuff with it, so what would a 1/4% do for a city?
Not much, but overall it would take 17% sales tax to cover the costs of all property taxes in the county. So if we had a 17% sales tax countywide, we could cover the cost of all.
You said 17?
17, yes. However, that's assuming everybody paid it, right? And what I mean is, the downside that Warren County has, and Ohio has to some extent, is once your sales tax gets high enough, people stop buying things in your state. And so there, you start losing money as the percentage gets higher and higher. We don't know what that is. We're going to find out if 0.5% does anything at the county. I don't think it's going to. A little less impact on Warren than Hamilton, right? Because you're a border county. But I think there's 30 border counties and all. There's a lot. And so as statewide, I always joke, Miami can put their sales tax at whatever they want. Because where are you going to go? Cuba? You can't do anything. For Ohio, it's a lot harder. We see that with marijuana. We see that with alcohol. If your taxes go too high, they go to Michigan, they go to Kentucky. And so we've got to be conscious of that. I think that I can see it going up, 8, 9%. That's kind of a common number you see in Tennessee, Florida. That's probably sustainable without a huge detriment. The other thing that we have to think about Ohio, I'm a big sales tax proponent, at least Ohio's sales tax, because it's not as regressive as others are. In that, we don't tax food. We don't tax diapers. We don't tax, a lot of these products that are necessities. So it's not a tax on the poor the way it is in Tennessee, where they tax everything. But you also don't generate as much. And to Karen's point, it does fluctuate more. A bad economy, people stop buying things. They don't stop paying their property taxes. So you've got to factor those in. But overall, I would love to see the state become more reliant on on sales tax, less on property. And most states do that through the state government doing that. I don't see Ohio doing that. I see them giving us the power to do that locally. So. Appreciate you guys having me. Just getting the time. Good to see everybody.
Thank you.
In recognition of visitors, we have Janice McPherson. How you doing?
Good evening. So this will be relatively short, I think. I'm Janice McPherson. I live in the Countryside Development. I cannot speak for everyone, but I did want to come back because at the end of the last council, Ms. Harper, you asked about people who do not give their addresses. Does that mean they don't live in Lebanon? I cannot speak for everyone. I will tell you, for me personally, I do live in the city. I do not like to give my full address because this is recorded, this is live streamed. That's great for accessibility to our residents. I do love that. My husband is also a software engineer, and I'm very aware of how scarily easy it is to find out everything about you online. So while I'm sure people can find it, I would rather not just give it to the YouTube right now. So that is just all I wanted to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to regular items, previous business, ordinance number 2026-076.
Ordinance 2026-076, approving rate adjustments to the city's electric utility rate structure.
This ordinance approves changes to the city's electric rates as recommended by the 2026 electric rate study, which would adjust revenues in order to effectively fund the city's electric expenses.
Mr. Sievers, Mr. Nolan, I want to give you guys the opportunity to go home to your families if you want to. You don't have to stay if you have other things to do.
They really wanted to stay.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Sellers?
Yes.
Mr. Cope?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers?
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux?
Yes.
Mayor Messer?
Yes. Ordinance number 2026-078.
Ordinance number 2026-078, approving a zoning map amendment for the property located at 4 Oakwood Avenue to rezone it from residential 1-C or R1C to neighborhood commercial planned unit development or NCPUD as approved by the Planning Commission.
This ordinance approves a zoning map amendment for 4 Oakwood Avenue in order to be more consistent with the property's long-standing historical use and provide the regulatory framework for its continued use.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Lamoureux?
Yes.
Mr. Sellers?
Yes.
Mayor Messer?
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers?
Yes.
Mrs. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Cope?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2026-079.
Ordinance number 2026-079, approving a zoning map amendment to rezone approximately 29.5 acres located on Norgal Drive from light industrial, or I-1, to light industrial planned unit development, or I-1 PUD, as approved by the Planning Commission.
This ordinance approves a zoning map amendment for 29.5 acres located on Norgal Drive to help facilitate the expansion of the existing outdoor RV storage operation for the heat and sensor leveling facility and for the development of the new Keystone facility.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
Second.
Any comments?
I'm excited to see local business stay local
Amen.
and be able to grow and develop a site here.
Yep.
It's exciting.
Has there been any discussion on timing of moving case or any of the?
I believe you're planning on moving into the construction phase of the new facility this fall, possibly, yeah, depending on permitting and all of that. So I would expect that to probably work through the winter and, look at next year sometime. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's gonna take us a while to get moved, because we won't move in the winter, because that's our busy time, so it's gonna take us a while, but we'll eventually get it moved sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just in talking with you, talking about how your sons, they can be integral to your business. I mean, what better than a local business staying in the family too, so that's cool.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Sellers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Mr. Cope,
Yes.
Mayor Messer,
Yes.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2026-081.
Ordinance number 2026-081, authorizing the city manager to purchase road salt for the 2026 through 2027 winter season from Norton Salt.
This ordinance approves the purchase of road salt from Norton Salt for the bid price submitted as part of the 2026 through 2027 Warren County Engineers Office Road Salt Purchasing Program.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Eggers,
Yes.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Mayor Messer,
Yes.
Mr. Cope,
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
New business, 2026-084.
Resolution number 2026-084, authorizing the city to apply for grant funding through the ODOD Brownfield Remediation Program for properties located at 114 and 120 South Broadway.
This resolution authorizes the application for grant funding to assist with the cleanup of properties located at 1114 and 120 South Broadway due to contaminated soil resulting from a previous petroleum underground storage tank and to prepare the site for redevelopment.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
What's the timing of the cycle, of the cycle for the?
Yeah, the applications are due in about a week and a half. The state has, that's the grant applications, the state has indicated a desire to make funding announcements in November. Hopefully that schedule holds.
Mr. Lambert?
That was it.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Sellers,
Yes.
Mr. Cope,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers,
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes. Resolution 2026-085.
Resolution 2026-085, updating the existing MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, for participation in the Warren County Tactical Response Unit to allow for Lebanon Police Division officer access to the indoor range.
This resolution approves updates to the MOU with the Warren County Tactical Response Unit, allowing Lebanon officers to utilize their new indoor shooting range.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers,
Yes.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Cope,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2026-086.
Ordinance number 2026-086, approving the final plat for the Villas of Parkside as recommended by Planning Commission and declaring an emergency.
This ordinance approves the final plat for the villas at Parkside, establishing lots for 75 owner-occupied patio homes.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Any comments? Please call the roll.
Mr. Sellers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Mr. Cope,
Yes.
Mayor Messer,
Yes.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers.
Yes.
So on number 8 and number 9, so that is ordinance number 2026-087 and then 2026-088. I've heard independently from multiple council members that they would.
But not a majority.
Not a majority.
Not a quorum.
Not a quorum. That they would like to table these ordinances for tonight and then talk through this again at work session relative to our future land use map. And I know their attorney is here, so I didn't know if council had any questions for their attorney / if their attorney had anything for us. I want to make sure to give you the opportunity. All right, very good. Is there a motion to table these two ordinances?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Eggers,
Yes.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris, Mayor Messer,
Yes.
Mr. Cope,
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2026-089.
Ordinance number 2026-089, approving the contract with Milcon Concrete Incorporated in the amount of $94,820 for the emergency repair of a storm sewer pipe off of off of Clubhouse Lane and declaring an emergency.
This ordinance approves a contract with Milcon Concrete, who was the low bid to repair a partially collapsed 36-inch storm sewer line off of Clubhouse Lane.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Was this result of construction out there, or?
No, I mean, from what we can tell, no, the pipe's actually not under the pavement, so it's in kind of a grass area. You know, it's about 30 years old, so it appears that, you know, the material that was used back then is a different standard of what we use now. I think it could be attributable to, you know, the wrong kind of backfill material being used during the installation, which caused the partial collapse. So there wasn't any recent activity out there that would have caused, you know, the partial collapse.
Does it affect that retention pond that's out there?
It affects the drainage system, yeah, in the entire area, so obviously we want to try to get it replaced as an emergency. You know, it's a big pipe, it's, you know, yeah. But like I said, I think it's about a little over 30 years old, so it's just something that appears to have happened over time.
Did I get a motion already?
No.
Is there a motion?
Yes, we do. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Ready for a vote, sorry.
All right. Please call the roll.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Mr. Sellers.
Yes.
Mayor Messer.
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers.
Yes.
Mrs. Harper.
Yes.
Mr. Cope,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris.
Yes.
City manager's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The next meeting of City Council will be a work session on Tuesday, September 1st at 7 p.m. I also want to let folks know that the improvement / initial phase for the widening of State Route 63, it was scheduled to start Monday, was delayed due to working through some private utility conflicts and information. The contractor is now scheduled to start this coming Monday. So again, that initial phase that you're going to see this year will be a lane restriction. It's not going to be a full closure. There will be a full closure next year, but for this year it will be down to one lane with flaggers. And that's really kind of been going on out there for the last week with Verizon doing some work. So kind of what's been experienced out there the last week or so is going to be similar. We have limited the amount of time that they can reduce it down to one lane. Also 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. So after 3 p.m., the contractor has to open it back up to two-way traffic.
Okay.
That's all in there.
Got anything for us, Ms. Harper?
I have been asked about Chick-fil-A.
It's a good
What's the
question.
latest? Yes.
So, planning commission approval, big step. What they've communicated to the city is an intent to start construction in the spring of this year. The city is working with them. If you recall, the city had secured a demolition grant previously for the 128 South Broadway project that we can no longer use at that site. So we are working with them to transition the demolition grant to get the building down. So that could still happen this year, but they intend to kind of start construction in earnest in the spring.
No, sorry.
In the spring.
Okay.
So the chairman, so she's having the.
Oh, yes, yeah, it's a complete redevelopment on this.
You can reassure everybody that asks you that no one's more excited about having a Chick-fil-A than our city manager.
I just hear a lot about it.
He wants nobody to ask about it. That's what he's gonna say.
Just leave it on your voicemail.
Yes.
That's all.
I just wanted to remind everybody that the Lebanon Hope Walk is this weekend on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Bicentennial Park. Everybody's welcome, free to walk. If you'd like to make a donation of $25, you will receive a t-shirt. Of course, you are welcome to donate any amount that you would like, $1, $5, $1,000, whatever you'd like. We are still, if you'd like to volunteer for that, we're taking volunteers. You can register to walk, or you can just come on that day. There'll be a food truck, fire department will be there, the police department will be there, lots of different individuals in the space to raise awareness on human trafficking, provide information on how to keep children safe, and then there'll be bounce houses and other fun things to do as well. So it is a family-friendly event, even though you will have opportunities to talk to individuals if you want to ask some of the heavier questions. So we're looking forward to doing this. This is our 3rd year. And we just want to make sure that everybody knows all are welcome, all ages.
Very good. Thank you.
Was it last year that you and I ran? Or was that 2 years ago?
That was 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, park.
So this year,
It
you're
was-
going to let me do piggyback or just carry?
You're gonna carry me, right?
Yeah, great event. I appreciate everything that you do to help organize it. That's just one of your gifts.
Thank you.
And so excited that the community just steps up and supports this organization and what it means for sex trafficking and the evil that represents in this world. I don't have anything. Thanks.
The route for the Hope Walk?
It'll be the same again this year.
Okay.
I know some people say, oh, I want to walk longer. We'll go right ahead.
Go ahead, keep going.
You can go twice, you
Yeah.
can go 3 times, but it's more, it's an awareness, rather than a strenuous activity. But people, are always welcome to do that. But yeah, it'll be the same.
Okay.
So starting at Bicentennial Park.
Yes,
Thanks.
Liberty Tree is up, looks fantastic.
Yes.
Colonial Park West, correct, is west.
Yes.
Looks great, so everybody go check it out.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I need to post about that. I forgot to do that.
Do.
One last thing for me is this weekend, Lebanon Presbyterian will be honoring their 220th anniversary. So just a few years after the inception of our city. So that is a massive milestone, and they've always been a centerpiece of our community. So just wanted to give them a shout out and look forward to celebrating that with them. With that, I'll entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
Please call roll.
Mayor Messer,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Norris,
Yes.
Mr. Sellers,
Yes.
Mrs. Harper,
Yes.
Mr. Lamoureux,
Yes.
Mrs. Eggers,
Yes.
Mr. Coe.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. See you next week.